Hello, dear students. Today I'm going to give you some interpretation of the lesson, the summary of the lesson. It's going to be like an analysis of the text. In brief, we have seen how Ray Bradbury has come up with an extraordinary piece of work in the science fiction. He wants to tell us about understanding again our responsibility. We need to understand our responsibility and we must bring some kind of perception, a novel thought, which has been already in the process but we have forgotten. Let me just take a look at the page number 7676 and we have summary here. Please take your textbook and this is going to be our discussion in this video. A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury is a science fiction short story about a man named Eccles, Eckels, Eccles, who participates in a time travel safari to the distant past, where hunters can kill dinosaurs. The safari is highly regulated to avoid altering the future. In this lesson, we have a very important central figure, main character, whose name is Eccles. He travels in a time travel safari. So that is how the story begins. And there is an option for the hunters. They can kill the dinosaurs. He doesn't go into the future. Usually people want to see how the future would be, but he goes back into the past. The safari is highly regulated to avoid altering the future. So, altering in the sense changing. The passengers or the people who had enthusiasm to travel in the time travel safari do not have any right. They can't change. They can't change the procedure or else the guidelines and the manual during their board or else journey. So they have to stick to the rules and they should abide by the conditions outlined and given by the organization. The safari is highly regulated to avoid altering the future. Hence, the participants must stay on a floating path and shoot only animals marked for death. So, some animals which have been marked for death, the hunters do have the privilege to kill them. However, Van Eccles panics at the sight of a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex. What is meant by Tyrannosaurus Rex? And write down this word, it appears to be very difficult. A very lengthy word, Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus Rex translates to Tyrant Lizard King. Tyrannosaurus Rex translates to Tyrant Lizard King, a name derived from Greek and Latin to reflect its status as the supreme dominant predator of its time. He is the king among so many dinosaurs. That is tyrannical in the sense, what do you mean by tyrannical? Applying rule, applying force, might is right. So, Tyrannosaurus Rex is the um, dominant predator of its time. Tyrannosaurus comes from Greek Tyrannos for tyrant, Saurus for lizard, and Rex is Latin for king. So Rex Rex refers to king. Please do remember and update your knowledge in English language. This vocabulary is very important. From two ancient languages in the world, this word has been coined. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus from Greek and Rex from Latin. Rex refers to king. Please write down this point. It lived 66 to 68 million years ago. This is the life span around which this particular species existed. Now it is almost extinct species on the earth. Let's get back to the point. However, when Eccles panics at the sight of a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex, he stumbles off the path. He saw a huge animal during his journey in the time travel safari. Suddenly, he became shocked to experience that sight of this Tyrannosaurus Rex, a giant animal which would easily swallow, munch, and swallow the human beings. So he became worried and panicked. In the sense, he was so afraid of its presence over there. Then what happened? He stumbled off the path. Stumbles off the path refers to lose control of your journey. See, he just got into the other side and he lost control of his walk on the path, accidentally crushing a butterfly. What happened? No animal should be hurt. That was the rule, and no creature, no insect should be hurt. They were traveling in the past, but they had the privilege to kill some marked animals. Among them were dinosaurs. The king of dinosaurs was Tyrannosaurus Rex. What happened if you happen to violate the rules in your organization, in your school, in your college? There would be some punishment. Now, this man, along with others, also took the punishment. What was the punishment? At the end, Achilles and his fellow hunters returned to the present after their ill fated time. This is the punishment. They could not complete their journey in the time travel safari because of his mishap and because of his, unplanned and unexpected this crushing the butterfly. He had to come out of the time travel safari. Now he came into the present. What happened? That was a very bad journey for him. That is how we can understand ill fated time traveling safari. Ill fated means his fate was so bad, it was so unfortunate. He could not understand that he was crushing. It was due to the presence of the giant animal around. He had to do it. He suddenly lost control of himself, and along with others, he was thrown out of it. However, upon stepping back into their own time, now they have come back to their own time, Eccles immediately senses something is off. He got into the time travel safari, traveled for some time, now came back. By the time he arrived, so many changes took place. What does this scene indicate to you? What does this scene remind you of? In Telugu movies, there is a movie long, long ago it came, um, starring I think Balakrishna and other characters starred in this movie. The title of the movie. Can you guess the movie Aditya 369? Science fiction. That was also science fiction. In that movie, they travel somewhere and then they find different experiences. That was a wonderful thing. And long ago they showed all technology and future how it would be. But in that movie, we would see future. The price of tomato around 1200 to 1500. Wife calls the comedian Brahmanandam, and that's really chilling to just to see that. At the time when the movie came, I was too young, a small boy. I really got shocked. Would this really happen? That was a bit embarrassing moment and very unacceptable. But as the years passed by, now we would understand. We can say firmly that okay, anything could be possible because of the population explosion, and this way. But in this lesson, time traveling safari goes into the past. That is the difference between Aditya 369 and this particular lesson. Subtly different, and the officer Eccles immediately senses something is off. So some changes have taken place in my absence. That's what he has understood. The air feels subtly different. So at a very deeper level, what he understood was the environment changed and the setup in the office was changed and the places, everything got changed. And the office has an unfamiliar smell. There was some kind of odor which he sensed. At the same time, when he glances at the sign in the Time Safari office, he realizes that the language and spelling have changed. So, over a period of time, people will opt for different changes in their lives. So, this man has found in the office the language used for on the signboard. That language was also changed. So, it is all just over a period of time things change a lot. That's what Ray Bradbury is trying to tell us in this particular lesson. Unfamiliar smell and changed language on the signpost and air feelings different. That means the people and their behavior and the approach they just maintain, all of them have changed dramatically. Words appear distorted and foreign. Distort means, when you cannot read or cannot find some group of letters or sentences to be really meaningful, you could say it's distorted. In other words, it's simply disfigured. They are not in the expected format. They have changed. Foreign means unfamiliar or unknown. Foreign country means what? That's a different country. Foreign means it is also used in medical language. Foreign. So when the doctor administers sort of procedure along with some injection, he says the foreign stuff got installed or implanted inside. The foreign means not the natural tissue generated flesh, that some artificial element has been inserted in the body. That's called foreign. Panic grips. Panic means fear. Please write down this word. Panic. It's not panis. It's panic grips. Means he became so worried. Eccles has he Panic grips Eccles as he begins to understand that his actions in the past, especially his brief misstep off the path, OFF, off refers to from. So there was a path, they were asked to walk on that while they were killing or hunting the animals, particularly dinosaurs. But this man crushed the butterfly. Off the path means from the path, just away from the path, have altered the future in profound ways because of his misstep. Altered means changed. Profound means very great in so many, in larger ways. So, this is a symbolic description. As we know, what we do today would have multiple implications in the future. He tries to focus and centers his discussion on the nature. In nature, what we find basically flora and fauna, isn't it? We find flora and fauna. Flora and fauna. Flora and fauna refer to animals as well as the plants. So the green vegetations. In Japan, in the year 2011, there was a big tsunami on March 22nd, I guess. As a result, what happened? I think that was Fukushima Daiichi. Fukushima Daiichi in the state called Sendai. In the state called Sendai in Japan, the nuclear reactors, in fact, the candles of the nuclear plants, that was designated to produce a lot of energy for the country, that was inundated by the seawater. It was very close to the seashore. I'm not very sure, but due to the heavy waves and the big tides, giant tides, the water got in and it got polluted. As a result, within the proximity of 20-30 kilometers, people got affected. This is the recent example, friends. How about Hiroshima Nagasaki in the year 1942? The hydrogen bomb named Little Boy, I guess. See, man has greed. He wants to pursue. In this process, he forgets about the responsibilities that he has in order to maintain the stability, in order to maintain the peace with the nature. It's all about coexistence. We live with the animals as well as we live with the plants. If there is no vegetation, in the sense no sprouting, how about the growth of paddy fields? How about the growth of vegetables? Where would we find all these things? So it is necessary. We should be mindful. So profound ways, in so many ways, there were changes in the present because of the misstep, in the sense bad behavior with nature. Because of the greed, the man had taken unnecessary decisions and unthoughtful plannings. Finally, they have resulted in this. Today, we see so much of nature's wrath. WRATH, nature's wrath. This is a very notable point. We all must know. We study, get educated, get degrees, get jobs. Finally, we are leaving a lot of stuff back. There is an environmentalist from one of the countries. I believe he is from the US again. It is subject to correction again. He writes a lesson. He has written an article actually. He was a freelance writer. He is an environmentalist and loves the nature to be protected, like a Chipko movement by Sundarlal Bahuguna, from India. His name was Lester R. Brown. He wrote the article titled Ailing Planet, Ailing, Ailing Planet. You see, what do you mean by ailing planet? The planet which has been under the grip of disease. It has been taking, it's been bedridden, in other words. How would this planet, the big one, be on the bed? Which means we have exploited this nature, air pollution, water pollution, and so much of plastic wastage. We use mobile phones, we use plastic scraps, and there are so many things inside house, in the office, in college. We just dump it anywhere that we want. We don't have a proper guidance. Though there is guidance and some specific rules, so we don't do that because we are just careless. We are lazy. We shouldn't be. The chilling confirmation of the change comes when Eccles learns that the presidential election result has reversed. Later, outside in his life, what he understood, the presidential elections took place, and the plans or the ideas of the people who had expected their candidate that he would come into the power, that didn't happen. It got reversed. A previously progressive candidate has lost. Progressive candidate means who was very willing to help the society with his power could not get the power. And a tyrannical authoritarian figure has been elected. Tyrannical means, I have already told you, one who follows some force and doesn't listen to people. It's not a democratic way of ruling a country. So a man with so much of malicious mindset, who doesn't think about the welfare of the people. Mostly he takes his own decisions in order to oppress and suppress. At the end of the game, so many unprecedented and unpredicted disasters could be seen in his administration. A previously progressive candidate has lost, and a tyrannical authoritarian figure has been elected. This shift implies a darker, more oppressive society. So, when a bad person comes into the power, mostly that particular regime, regime means during his reign, reizn, obviously people would suffer a lot. So many countries have had such figures and who did not rule their countries in the world. I can't name those countries, and in India also. So that was their ideology. They believe in something and they execute their plans. As a result, the end result would be very dangerous and risky for the existence of the people or the citizens in the particular state or country. Here, oppressive society and the darker elements have entered in the altered present. So the present is not so promising, and it is really so bad, and it is undigestible. When Eccles realizes the full impact of his mistake, he is overcome with horror and regret. So you have made a mistake, whether knowingly or unknowingly. But crying about what you could not control in your life is not going to be the solution. So feeling miserably bad about the past is really bad, and nothing could be possible. We can't bring any change. But from that failure, we have to learn a lesson. What should we do to manage with the future? How can we be helpful for the future generations? How can we be helpful for the future natural gifts in this world? Water, air, land. So we need to know all these things. This lesson is so contemporary and it has great vibe, and it means we just have to go through this lesson again, watch this video continuously, understand the perceptions and the ideology of this author, Ray Bradbury. So when you make a mistake, finally you will have to suffer. You will regret. You will cry. But nothing could be brought back once it's lost. So the beauty of nature should be maintained and protected. It is to be pristine. Pristine. It's pristine. And the bewitched beauty of the seashores and the banks of the rivers we need to protect. Travis, the safari guide, is furious with Eccles. Furious means angry. Hey man, how shame it was. You made a mistake. What is this? Because of you, so many people had lost the journey. Understanding the enormity. Enormity sense the problems and the troubles and the range of troubles, the enormity, the scale of troubles of what has happened. So let us say, in other words, the seriousness of this misstep with which particularly the safari guide was angry with Ackles. As punishment, he lifts his gun, and the story ends with a final sound of thunder. Although Bradbury leaves the ending open to interpretation, this ominous noise, what do you mean by ominous? Write down this word, OMINOUS. Something that sensing that some bad is going to happen. Ominous strongly means um, when it's cloudy, you can say, okay, it's going to rain or it is likely to rain. Similarly, when a crow is cawing nearby our house, it is believed in our areas, in Telugu places in the state of Andhra Pradesh, a crow has come. The crow has different symbolic imagery and implications. Crow means it's one of the souls of our ancestors that comes and eats our the food offered during some special ceremonies. In order to appease, APPEAS, appease means satisfy the souls of our family. That is one particular thing. And crow also is a symbol. Its cawing is also symbol of relatives arrival. So if a crow is there on the top of the tree in the garden, in the front yard or backyard, daddy says, oh, there are some, today we might expect some relatives to our house. So that's a symbolic imagery, in fact, we know. And is it true or not, practically we have to see. But sometimes it happened in my case also when crow cawed. So cawing is a symbol of arrival of the relatives. And here ominous refers and crow ominous, if crow caws not one in many, any some nature's fury might be at the at our hand. So that's also an indication of some bad is going to take place. This ominous noise strongly implies means suggests and makes us understand that Travis has a shot Eccles. Finally, he took the gun and put it at point blank position, and he shot Eccles. This is what we can interpret. But Ray Bradbury doesn't say Eccles was dead, but it was only stated in this lesson that he was just positioned the gun by Travis, and Eccles. Travis has shot Eccles, whose careless action permanently changed the world. One person is enough, friends. One action. 1,000 miles of journey begins with one step. It is said. Similarly, one bad person's action or unmindful action, sometimes it may not be we don't have to be bad. Unmindfulness as well as ignorance at times. The ignorance costs a lot, so we will have to pay the high price. Paying high price means we will be at the verge of suffering and a big loss. The story concludes on this note of irreversible consequence. Consequence means result. Irreversible means that you can't change or bring back, underscoring the theme of responsibility and the potential dangers of meddling with nature and time. So, nature and time are the biggest assets for us because we come and go. Ours is a temporary journey. Nature is everywhere, it's pervasive. We have to be so loyal and we should respect nature. And if we meddle with it in a very bad way, the results would be so impactful and they will swipe away everything. Friends, let's be concerned with the nature and the nature's gifts and let us protect. Please plant a sapling on every birthday of yours and ask your neighbors and cousins and friends in the nearest neighborhood and be loyal to the nature and protect rainwater and keep your areas clean and tidy. And government of India has also brought the new program called Swachh Bharat, and this is very important because there is a saying in English: cleanliness is next to godliness. Those who do not give importance for this cleaning, and they just become, like so the dirty people, in fact, the dirty people don't maintain the nearest places and the premises neat and tidy. So that's called shabby. So the places that have turned out to be shabby would not generate money, would not give peace of mind. The families and the houses and the business shops, the premises should be clean and tidy. And using plastic is another threat for our existence. Student life is a gift. during student life, whatever you read and understand and adopt certain policies in life, you will have throughout your life permanently. So keep reading so many journals and books in the library, in your college, and read regularly some Telugu dailies or English dailies. It's only to get updated with current affairs, and think about low-lying areas and water crushing every day due to CFC's presence in the atmosphere, chlorofluorocarbons, and have an idea how our laptops and ACs and refrigerators and various other home appliances have so much of influence in destabilizing the environment, and we are creating problem to this environment. We are using air conditions and we are using two wheelers, and we have been constructing so many concrete jungles for our convenience, but at the cost of our own pleasure. We should not destroy the nature. There is a paradoxical statement: man is both a creator and a destroyer. Should we be like destroyers? If we destroy, how about the future for our generations to come? So we have to be mindful and we should not be greedy. So finally, dangers of meddling with nature. This is very, very important. 2025 showed us a big picture as how man should be in limits. If we don't maintain this kind of healthy relationship with the nature, things are going to be so dangerous. Please keep watching the video if you haven't understood this lesson. Thank you so much. Share this video with your friends and always stay healthy. Have healthy diet.